I lost my wife, Brandy Zink, August 27th, 2015 to suicide. She killed herself. And it was more than I could have ever imagined and how it affected me. But I was so overwhelmed with so much that I just went numb. I don't know if anyone else out there has ever lost somebody, just whether it was suicide or whether it was in a car accident, that it was so much, it was so emotional, somebody that was so close to you that you went numb. Like I felt dead inside. Drinking alcohol, doing whatever, like I was doing whatever I could to try and feel something. And it almost seemed impossible. But it was because it was like so much pain that you're trying to mask. Uh, Brandy committed suicide August 27th, 2015, alone in a hotel room. And the reason I use the word committed suicide, and again, I share from just my lived experiences, and this isn't to upset anyone, this is to share, man, is I always never understood that people are like, don't use the word committed because, it's a crime and it's not a crime. The definition of committed is dedicated to the cause. Well, my wife's suicide, it took her 3 attempts the night she killed herself. She died by asphyxiation. She was putting a bag over her head. And she had Xanax in her system, she had vodka in her system, she had ate some, but she tried 3 different times. The third time, she ended up taking her life. And 2 times it didn't work. She actually tore the bag open. And the police told me that because they found him in the trash can. And so she was dedicated to the cause. And her and I mean, she was my best friend. We were going through a separation at the time. We were separated. I had filed for divorce, but never really went any further than just it was on file. And there's a part of me that I never thought I was actually going to get divorced from her. And she was my best friend. I couldn't have her with me though because I knew what this outcome was going to be, and that even with me, it would have been this outcome. She was struggling massively with depression. She was struggling with addiction. I was struggling with addiction. And I didn't want to find her dead because it wasn't going to get any better. And that was something that it took a lot of EMDR therapy and a lot of years for me to come to grips with that. My wife, Brandy, started really struggling with this to the point that when addiction took over her life with alcohol, that I would see her for maybe an hour a day. She would sleep all day long. And when I'd come home from work, she'd be asleep. And I'd go to bed and then she would wake up and then drink. And then I would wake up and she'd be asleep. And I never really spent even much time with her. It was like I had somebody who slept on the couch. It was really, really difficult. And I didn't know what to do. And I really struggled with this a lot. Her and I had talks and I didn't know what to do to help her get sober. And she ended up with wet brain. And I think that's where it all started to go downhill. And if you don't know what wet brain is, when you drink so much and you don't eat any kind of carbs or vitamins or any of that, like your brain starts to have black spots on it. Your brain starts to die. And it was like she had dementia. She didn't know where I would be. I'd come home and she'd be like, "Where were you?" And I was like, "I was at work." And she was like, what day is it? Like, she couldn't tell any of this. And I was like, man, I did everything I could for this woman because I loved her. And I did like seeing somebody like this, seeing your loved one like this is like, it's the worst. And I kept just drinking. I would buy her alcohol and just keep feeding her alcohol to keep drinking because it was like, I had to just numb this. It sucked watching someone deteriorate in front of you. And it really screws you up. It creates so much in your brain that you just start running from this and you don't want to come home, but you also don't want to leave them by themselves. I was like, okay, I took her to a dentist because maybe it was a tooth infection. So they did x-rays, all that. She didn't have any teeth infections. She had like one little infection that was maybe something, so they gave her some antibiotics. But other than that, her teeth were fine. And so then I took her to an ear, nose, and throat specialist because I was like, maybe it's like an ear infection. And he was like, dude, she's fine. Like, she has no ear. Like, and I'm explaining to the doctor, I'm like, you're wrong, man. Something is wrong. Like, I don't know what to do. It was like, and I explained it. It's like she has like dementia, man. She knows who I am, but she doesn't know what day it is. She doesn't know where she is. Like, she's not eating any of this stuff. And to prove me wrong, he was like, dude, I'm scheduling an MRI. And so he scheduled an MRI. I took her in for the MRI. And they did the MRI, And it was so bad, she had a tongue piercing and stuff. I had to help her with her piercings out because she couldn't get her piercings out. They did it, and the guy comes out and he goes, "You need to take her to the emergency room, man. She has black spots on her brain." Because I told everybody that we drank. I wasn't afraid of that. And I was like, no. Like, you're lying to me, man. I was like, there's no way. I took her home. And I was like, I'm going to wait till the doctor tells me what to do. And he called me up about 45 minutes later. He's like, you need to get her to the emergency room. So I did. They thought we were pill shopping. I was a sales manager of an RV dealer. Like, I had a Rolex on. Like, I wasn't pill shopping. I just told him there's something wrong with my wife. Like, help me. And he realized really quick that there was. She couldn't walk straight, all that. And they admitted her in. Five days she was in the hospital, pumping her full of thiamine and B vitamins, everything they could to try and get her brain back on track. And it was like, dude, you got to quit alcohol. And that was the last time in my life I had hope for us, was her getting out that time and like, okay, we're going to get sober this time. We're going to get sober. Seeing her sober, because her sober was actually a lot of fun. It lasted for about 2 weeks. And we started drinking NA beers. And we didn't really want to be sober. And next thing you know, we're drinking NA beers and let's try another beer. And then it just went right back to it. And I could not find her dead. I knew I would find her body if she continued to do this. I didn't think that she would commit suicide. I knew there was a lot of depression there. And it was so funny, man. I was that guy, like, dude, I'll do whatever it takes to save your life. Like, she could have did whatever she wanted. I even told her that, like, whatever you want to do, you have the ability to do it because money's not an issue. But she'd rather just sit and drink. And it was me. I mean, I took her away from her life and isolated her where we should have stayed probably in Yuma. Like, there's a lot of things, like, looking back, but again, didn't know any better. And I was just watching her deteriorate again. And I couldn't do it. Like, I did everything I could. The only thing I could think of is us not being together. Maybe that, like, pain will drive her to getting sober. And so I drove her to Yuma, and I ended up sleeping with this other girl. I needed comfort, I needed love because I wasn't getting any at home with her. And so I started dating this other girl. And I remember even dating her and thinking to myself, like, hey, no matter what, like, when Brandy gets sober, we're going to get back together. And her and I talked a lot. And I had so much anger at her too, and I would lash out at her. Because I never did, even when she was with me at home. I held it all inside. So it was so toxic. Started doing more coke, started drinking more. Started drinking way more again. Just trying to numb all of that. But I never thought that she would commit suicide. And I started moving on with my life. And I always had a place for her. Always had a place for her. I ended up getting a new apartment and I had brought all her stuff over and it was always had a place for her if she ever got sober. And I tried to bring her home once even. So I was a sales manager at Dennis Dillon RV. I was opening this place up and it was like April. And I told her, I was like, let's give this a shot. I drove down there and I got her. We drove back and it was great, driving back and her home and just, she cooked one meal. She was sleeping a lot and she just wasn't the same. And it worried me. And I was like, I can't do this. There's a part of me that just couldn't do it. So after trying for about a week, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And it was so weird too, because there was a part of me that felt so guilty. Like, I brought her out here and now I'm going to take her back. And she unzipped her bag and pulls out a fifth of vodka and starts drinking out of it. And then she was drinking the whole time she was there. And maybe subconsciously I knew that something was off. Maybe subconsciously I knew she hadn't quit drinking. And I remember seeing that and it was like, it was done. Because it was like, no, man, this is what got you in the hospital. And I took her back. I met my ex-wife, Amber, And her and I started dating. I was still married to Brandy. I never told Amber I was married to her, so. I never got divorced from Brandy because I was never supposed to not be with her. It was amazing because it was always so sad. And then all of a sudden it changed. She was like happy. She was telling me how she's she's going to make some changes and she's going to make things easier for me. I was like, what do you mean you're going to change? She's going to make things easier for me. How are you going to make things easier for me? I didn't realize that was her way of telling me she was going to commit suicide. And I remember trying to run through my head. She told me, so we were like talking, and I was in the guest bathroom in my apartment. And I was texting her, and she was like, "Download these, listen to these songs. These are my songs to you," because we used to communicate a lot through music. And I remember listening to them. One by U2, "Fool" by Shakira. I'm listening to these, and I'm like, why am I listening to these? Like, they're sad songs. And then I realized after she took her life, I didn't hear from her for a couple days. And it was kind of odd not to. And I even texted her we talked on Tuesday. I didn't hear from her Wednesday. Thursday, I texted her and was like, hey, I listened to those songs. Like, here, listen to these songs too. Like, I was even sending her back songs and stuff to listen to. And the next thing you know, I get a call from the sheriff's department that she took her life. And all I could think was, there's no way that she did this. She couldn't have done this. Like, no. And they said they needed me to come down and identify her body. And I went numb. And it was like I lost a part of me. I lost a huge part of me. It just went numb. It went cold. There was no emotion there. It was darkness. And it wasn't even sadness. It was nothing. It was the worst feeling. It was the scariest feeling in the world. And I remember talking to him, and all I could think of is, you need to call her mom. You need to call her mom and let her know that she is not here anymore. And I need to let people know what just happened. I was just so numb, and it was like other people had to know because they had to do something, because I don't know what to do right now at this given moment. And it was the worst feeling in the world. And it hurt, man, but it didn't hurt at the same time. And the only thing I could think of is, like, I needed to feel this. I needed to feel somehow in this. And so I drank. I went to work and I drank. And that's how I got through her suicide, was through alcohol and through more cocaine, and to driving myself into the deepest addiction that I could, because I needed to numb the pain that I never felt that was there, and it was the worst. And I didn't go to therapy. I didn't do anything I was supposed to, because I was supposed to be the tough guy. And I leaned on my dad, and I talked with my dad, and he was the rock there for me, but I didn't go to therapy, and I didn't heal a single thing. And my life for the next couple of years was a nightmare, because I didn't heal myself. And I wish I would have. And that's why I share. I share because if you do lose somebody, whether it's suicide or car accident or whatever it is, you have to go to therapy. You have to start a grief process. You have to start processing this through. Otherwise, you're going to find something that's unhealthy, like I did, and you're going to ruin part of your life. And that's why I share. Because I want someone to know that it does get better. And I don't want people to make the same mistake I did.